Now you know a video game is good when every single gaming journalist, every premier magazine and website comes out and attacks your game. And that's what's happening with Lollipop, Chainsaw, RePop. We have The Gamer, we have Kotaku, we have PC Gamer, we have all these outlets coming out attacking this game, saying it's a substandard property and you should avoid it. I'm thinking, okay, if all these gaming social media giants are coming out attacking your game and its remaster, it's telling me that you're doing something right. And I think that's the case with Lollipop Chainsaw, the remaster that a lot of fans have been clamoring for and are now getting from the creator of the franchise. And I think this is the most interesting thing that we're seeing right now, where the creator has come out and said he's making a one-to-one recreation of the game with no censorship. Nothing is being changed. In fact, he wants to put more designs and styles into the game that are more in line with what the fan base actually wants to see and what they remember from this property. And I think when hearing something like this, a gamer has to love what they're getting from this property, and a remaster that is dedicated to making something similar to what they played in the past. And I think that's what we're getting with Lollipop Chainsaw. We're getting the game that we wanted to see in the past, and everything that we're hearing from the CEO, he's talking about a game that is dedicated to what we knew and loved about the game. And you can see it in the quotes from the developer, where they're saying, "We, the original staff, are back and have the same feelings about censorship as you do, the fans." And I think this is what the fans like hearing when they hear about a remaster, that we're having someone that likes the old game, that is part of the old creation of the old game, and they're just retransposing it with higher update of graphics and maybe even more content that is very similar to what we got beforehand. And I think that's what we're getting with Lollipop Chainsaw, and you can see this with a whole host of tweets from this creator, where he gave interviews talking about how they're keeping things the same. They're adding even more uncensored outfits and overall designs, and it just shows that they're dedicated to give the fans what they want. And this is what you want to hear from a developer, where they actually listen to the customer base and they're not ignoring them, they're not chastising them, they're not calling them ugly and weird and hateful. And I think this is a situation you do as a businessman. You give what the fans actually want, and I think that is the situation we're seeing with Lollipop Chainsaw. It is giving the fans what it wants. The head developer of this game is continually pouncing on the word uncensored, saying we're making uncensored content. This is not going to be like all the other Western games, even some of the Japanese games that are coming out. This is completely uncensored. It is the game that you remembered, and it'll be even more than that with some of the updated features that we're putting into the game. And this is what you want from a remaster. And I think a lot of people are excited about this game. But of course, the main social media giants and outlets that get paid by big consultancy firms, allegedly get paid by big consultancy firms like Sweet Baby Inc., like Hit Detection, like GamerX. If you don't know, these consultancy firms work hand in hand with some of these social media giant reviewers like Kotaku, like IGN, these gaming journalists and magazines, where they put out hit pieces against gaming developers that do not use the service of some of these consultancy firms to reshape and reimagine their game. And I think that is probably the situation with Lollipop Chainsaw. They didn't use any consultancy firms, and it's pretty clear with the designs and look of the game characters, where you know they didn't change anything about the characters and they're sticking to what the original designs were in the earlier iterations of this game. And I think a lot of people are excited about that, and you can see the lack of excitement with some of the people that are reporting on this, specifically Kotaku, who's talking about this uncensored Lollipop Chainsaw remaster with its release date and its weird price. And when you hear the word weird now, you understand that with the political climate that we're in, this is the talking points that is going out to every political activist organization within America that is leaning towards one political side of the aisle. And you see this forced use of this word, you kind of already make that connection. Okay, this is the same type of people. They got the same memo, they got the same understanding of what they're supposed to put out there. And I think seeing that put out there specifically makes you understand, okay, these people are there to attack this ideology that is associated with this uncensored game that they don't like. They don't like this game is sticking to its guns, and now that's why they're gonna attack this game. This is not only Kotaku, this is coming from the Gamer as well, where they're bashing this game, saying it's just another dodgy remaster that is low quality, low rent, and it's raunchy and uncensored, and it's disgusting, and you must grow up because you're a loser if you like playing these games. And I think this is a situation we see all throughout the video gaming industry, where these gaming journalists are there just to support whatever their consultancy firms back and support. And I think when consultancy firms are not getting their funding from these game developers, they put out their hit pieces through the games journalists and social media influencers. And I think we see that with Lollipop Chainsaw, where these guys even play the game, they're just saying it's trash, it's dodgy, you avoid the game. Same thing with Black Myth Wukong. We're getting insistent reports about this mythical misogyny within the company that is developing it. And I think that's the situation that we're seeing here with Lollipop Chainsaw RePop, where they're looking to tear down this game. And I think when you understand that gaming journalists are working with some of these consultancy firms because they have the mirror image ideology that they share with each other, and they have the same goal of reshaping and changing the video gaming industry in their political image, you understand now they're working hand in hand to tear down these games that are not in line with their ideology. I think what you see here with Lollipop Chainsaw RePop, you can clearly see it has nothing to do with their ideology. It doesn't have the diversity, it doesn't have the ugliness of the characters, it doesn't fit in their standard philosophy of what they want to see in a game. There's too much blonde hair, there's too much blue eyes, too much manly characters, there's too much everything that they hate about video games in this game. And I think the response that we're seeing from the gamer, from Kotaku, is based on that ideology, that this game is just doing too much that they hate and they want to stop it. And I think that's the situation that we're seeing with Lollipop Chainsaw. I think with Black Myth Wukong, it's more that they don't have control over that game, and China is increasingly a sphere of development where they have little control over a lot of the properties that are coming out of there. And I think they would probably have a hard time getting control of those properties because people within those countries are more influential over the properties and they don't want anything to do with the Western ideology. I think that's the situation that we're seeing here with Lollipop Chainsaw. We're seeing something that is doing something on its own, and it doesn't care about what the Western world thinks about it. It cares about the profits it can get from the fans that actually will play their game. And I think that's the key thing. The developer of this game is trying to get the audience that plays their games to actually buy their games, and I think that's what's going to happen with Lollipop Chainsaw. But maybe you don't believe that. Maybe you think they should probably listen to the Kotakus and the gamer, but I highly doubt that. This is a situation where I think we've hoped to see develop in the gaming industry, specifically from Japanese developers. I think this is a Japanese developer pushing this out, where they're not listening to the consultancy firms, which is something that rarely happens in this environment now within the Japanese gaming industry. Everyone's trying to listen to a consultancy firm. Everyone's trying to destroy their company with a Sweet Baby Inc. backer as they go bankrupt. You can just see that with Square Enix, where they're pushing out content that is just enamored and covered with this DEI social progressive philosophy. Same thing with Capcom, Bandai Namco. Seems like Capcom is better at weaving the needle in between the political progressivism and actual making good games, but I think Bandai Namco went off the deep end, and Square Enix is going soon after. They already have their bankrupt game in Forspoken that destroyed the studio, and I think they're going to have further games that are going to bankrupt them. And I think that's the situation we can look forward to with a lot of these big Japanese developers. But it's nice to see some small developers not caring about the westernized ideology, just focusing on the fans. But those are my 2 cents on this. Let me hear what you have to say about the situation. What do you think about Lollipop Chainsaw staying true to the fans, not changing its content, and delivering what everyone actually wants to see in gaming? A good game that is dedicated to actually pleasing the fan base. I think that's what we're getting with Lollipop Chainsaw here. But you tell me what you think about the situation. I'd like to hear your comments. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.